Hello students, welcome to the Pole Science of class 9, and today we will go through the revision process for chapter number 3, that is constitutional design. That means previously we studied about the chapter constitutional design, and there were many contents starting from the constitution, and we had also read about the constitution of South Africa, but according to the revised curriculum the democratic constitution of South Africa is omitted. So for that reason we will again go through the revised curriculum and we will see if we have understand everything clearly or not. So starting with the chapter number 3, that is constitutional design, the first topic that will come is what is a constitution. So if we talk about constitution, what is it? That means it is, in simple words, it can be told that it is the basic rules and regulations through which the government also rules the country, and along with that we are also abiding by the constitution. So according to the constitution, the basic rules that the citizens and the government have to follow are called constitution. That means if the elected government is there from our side, that means they will rule the country not according to their wish but according to the rules and regulations that are mentioned in the constitution. Through that they will rule the country, and for us as a citizen we should also abide by the rules and laws that are given in the constitution, such as we can take the example of fundamental rights, according to which we get rights, and there are certain fundamental duties also which we have to do as being the responsible citizen of the country India. So the basic rules that the citizens and the government have to follow are called as constitution, number 1. Then next point is the constitution is the supreme law of the country. So we can relate this number 2 with number 1 point, because where it is written that they are the basic rules that the citizens and the government have to follow. Why? Because the constitution is the supreme law of the country. That means it is the supreme, and above that no one is there. So for that reason also the government and even we the people should follow the law that is mentioned or prescribed in the constitution. After that, the constitution determines the rights of the citizens and the powers of the government and how the government should function. So regarding number 3 point, I have made you understand earlier only that the constitution determines, that means gives us what? The rights also and the fundamental duties also. And according to certain rights we enjoy, that is due to the constitution that we enjoy certain rights. And along with that, the government, whatever the powers of the government, as I have told that the government cannot run the country according to their own wish. For that also the powers of the government are mentioned, and according to the rules and regulation being laid down in the Indian constitution, the government should function actually. Clear? So this was regarding what is a constitution. Now secondly we will go to the point that why do we need a constitution. Clear? If there is not any constitution, what will happen? And if there is a constitution, what is the advantage? So regarding constitution, why do we need it? The first point that it is written is it generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kind of people to live together. That means if I take the example of country India, then regarding country India, it does what? It generates a degree of trust and coordination that is necessary for different kind of people to live together. Suppose assume that India is a country with various languages and religions. So in a country like India, it will, if constitution is there, it will gives us what? It will firstly generate the trust that is needed and also the coordination. That means if we are from various religion like Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, so these people will all together generate, first of all it will generate trust. within each other. Then after that, along with trust, if trust is built up, then what will happen? They will coordinate with each other also. They will coordinate and cooperate. So in that way, what will be an environment like? Suppose assume that in a society, people from various religions are there. Suppose from Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Christians are there. So if they have a trust upon each other, they will surely do what? They will surely coordinate and cooperate with each other. And in this way, what will happen? Different kinds or different religions people will actually be able to live happily with each other. So whatever the environment will be there, that will be very good for them to live in a harmonious way. After that, it specifies how the government will be constituted, who will have the power to take which decisions. So along with making harmony for the people to live, secondly what it does, it specifies how the government will be constituted, as related to the first page of our discussion, that it will lay down certain powers and the way which the government should actually rule the country. So if constitution is there, government also will be clear about their powers, and according to their powers only they will run the country. After that, a constitution of a country is a set of written rules that are accepted by the people living together in a country. So if you remember, we have discussed about the constitution earlier also. So as this is a revision part, so then also we will go through it in an elaborative way. So a constitution of a country, of any country, is a set of written rules. That means it is in a written form. Remember this. That are accepted by all people living together in a country. That means irrespective of their caste and religion, living in a country, they have to abide by that, and whatever the constitution is there, it is in the written form. Constitution is the supreme law that determines the relationship among people living in a territory, called citizens. So it is the supreme law, as we have studied earlier, that it is the supreme law, above that no one is there, that actually determines what? The relationship among the people living in a territory. Suppose in a country like India, if we people are there from different castes and community, so if we are living there, we will be known as what? The citizens of that particular country. And we have to abide by what? The supreme law of the country, that is known as the constitution. So the constitution does what? It determines the relationship between the citizens and between the government. That means we as a citizens have certain duties and rights which we follow, and in that process we also utilize our universal adult franchise, that means right to vote. We elect a government, then the government also runs the country according to certain rules that are being laid down by the constitution. So in this way, the constitution does what? Being the supreme law, it actually determines the relationship between the citizens, that means we the people, and our government that is running the country in a democratic way. So a constitution does many things. After that, it lays down limits on the powers of the government and tell us what the rights of the citizens are. So it makes a balance between both of us, that means the government also and the citizens also. It tells the government firstly that what are their powers and what is their area of powers which they cannot cross, and along with that they also assures us, the citizens, about their certain rights which they can utilize being the citizens of the country. So it does two things. First of all, it highlights the limits of the powers of the government, and along with that it also focuses on the rights that are given by the constitution to the citizens of the country, or we the people. After that, it expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society. So in the same way, while we are being given the rights, certain rights by the constitution, the constitution also expresses the aspirations of the people about creating a good society. So in order to create a good society, what are the aspirations that are needed actually, that is also laid down by the constitution. Suppose for example, to create a good society, we should be a good citizen first, then we must follow all the fundamental duties as laid down by the constitution. Clear? After that, all countries that have constitutions are not necessarily democratic. One reality was there in your textbook that we have read earlier also, that what were the conditions, that is that like something that all countries that have constitution are not necessarily democratic. We have read that. That means every country, suppose assume that 193 countries are there, and out of that every countries have their own constitution. Suppose assume that, but that does not mean that all that 193 countries are democratic. This is one condition. But second condition is that all countries that are democratic will have constitutions. Don't be confused over that. That means according to the first condition, what it is, every country may have their own constitution, but it does not mean that they are democratic. They can be of different form of government also. But secondly, on the second condition, what it is written, that if a country is democratic, it is very much mandatory and necessary that that particular democratic country should have constitutions. Clear? After that, we had read about that what are the inspirations according to which the Americans prepared their constitution. After that, the French people also prepared their constitution. So in the first point, it is written that after the War of Independence against the Great Britain, the Americans gave themselves a constitution. We had read about this earlier also, that when did the Americans actually prepare their constitution? After one incident happened, at that time only, that was the incident of War of Independence. That was fought against whom? The Great Britain. After that, immediately the Americans gave themselves a constitution. That means immediately after the War of Independence against the Great Britain, the Americans prepared and drafted the constitution for their own country. If we talk about the French people, it was after the revolution, that means French Revolution. Immediately after that, the French people also realized the necessity of a constitution. After that, what they did, they approved a democratic constitution. That means the earlier one was a constitution, which was related to number one condition. That means every country may have constitution, but if a country is democratic, then a constitution is necessary for the democratic country. So in the second line, we can relate the French Revolution, according to which immediately after that the French people approved a democratic constitution. This can be related to number two condition in the previous page that we read. After that, since then, it has become a practice in all democracies to have a written constitution. And one more thing has also changed, that earlier it was like a democratic country should have a constitution in any form, but now it has become a trend that if a country is democratic or is following democracy, that means it should have a constitution in which form? Written form. Remember this. After that, every country drafts its own constitution. That means it is the duty of whom? If a country is realizing the need of its constitution, then who will prepare that? That particular country's people will only take the initiative to prepare that constitution. So like that, relating to that, it is written that every country drafts its own constitution. That means the particular country for themselves only prepares their own constitution. After that, a constitution of a nation is the set of written laws accepted by the people living together in a country. That means it was told earlier that it should be in written form. So it is the set of laws it is written that it is a set of written laws. That means it is in a written form, that is accepted by whom? With the people also and the government also, and with that only we are living in the country. After that, it lays down limits on the powers of the government. Clear? It expresses the aspirations of the people of creating a good society. After that, it generates trust and coordination between us, because in India, if we assume there are multilinguistic people, that means they are from different religions, languages. In that we are developing trust, generating trust also. After that, we are moving to live in a harmonious way. After that, it specifies how a government should be constituted. So constitution also guides us in the way in which a government should constitute or run the country. Clear? So with this, I will wind up today's topic from the revision section related to the chapter the constitutional design. In the next class, we will start from the circumstances under which the Indian Constitution was drawn up, in which we will read about the various factors by which India actually prepared themselves or felt necessary to draft a constitution for their country. So in today's class, we read about what is a constitution. After that, why do we need a constitution? Then we read about what is a constitution in a detailed version, that it is a set of written rules because it is in a written form. Then we read about the necessities, that it lays down limits, it builds a relationship between the people and the government of that particular country. We also read about what actually inspired the Americans and French to have their own constitution. For the Americans, it was the War of Independence that motivated them, and for the French people, it was the French Revolution. Clear? We have also read about that what it is. The constitution is a written set of written laws that should be followed by the people. After that, we read about the trust and coordination factor, and one important thing we learned today was about this, that all countries that have constitutions are not necessarily democratic. Every country may have their own constitution, but that does not mean that that country will be democratic. But if a country is democratic in nature or following democracy, that particular country should have constitution. It's mandatory for that particular democratic country, and that also in a written form. Remember this. So I hope that whatever the points we have studied today, it is now clear to you. So with this, I will wind up today's topic. Thank you.